The footage played again, slower this time, as if savoring the moment. Human children, millions of them, frozen in still frames of annihilation. The alien bombardments had reduced entire cities to ash. Playgrounds, schools, hospitals, all vaporized beneath precision beams. To the counselors, it was not cruelty, but strategy. A reminder that sentimentality is a weakness, and that mercy is an error. A lumbering representative from the Valor species, with 6 jaws snapping in rhythm, leaned forward and hissed, "Observe, fellow guardians of order. The human infestation has been corrected. They dared resist taxation of their star lanes, so we struck the heart of their reproduction. It is mathematics. You prune the young, and the species bends." Ripples of amusement passed across the chamber. A chittering insectoid clicked its mandibles in approval. A long-necked drifter species swayed like reeds in a windless swamp, humming in smug harmony. Somewhere in the back, a gelatinous elder sloshed with laughter, its body quaking with bubbles. "They mourn like hatchlings," another delegate crooned, voice dripping with condescension. "Humans weep for every brood. Their weakness is attachment. To strike their children is to strike their spine." And then, into this sea of smug cruelty, walked a woman. Her boots echoed lightly against the chamber's crystalline floor. She was small compared to most, her form fragile by alien standards, but her stride was unhurried, her posture almost casual. She wore Earth's formal Navy suit, pressed but unremarkable, a tiny flag stitched at the breast pocket. She carried no weapon, no guard. Only a leather folio and a porcelain teacup she balanced in one hand, as though entering a friend's parlor rather than the most hostile assembly in the galaxy. Ambassador Sarah Hayes smiled politely as dozens of alien eyes tracked her. Her brown hair was pinned neatly, her face plain but illuminated with an expression of patient warmth. Her presence seemed almost absurd against the grand hostility surrounding her, as if she had wandered into the wrong play. The Valor delegate sneered down at her. "Human representative, you arrive late as always. Do you come to beg for the scraps of your broken brood?" Sarah set the teacup gently upon the railing before her and poured from a tiny thermos she had carried all the way through the Concorde scanners. Steam rose, curling into the sterile air. She inhaled the scent as if this moment were nothing more than a cozy Sunday morning. "Begging is not generally our custom," she replied softly. "But tea is." A murmur fluttered across the chamber. Some alien dignitaries exchanged glances. Was this insolence or insanity? Sarah sipped, unhurried. Her eyes wandered the chamber, resting on each delegate as though measuring them one by one. "I watched your recordings," she said, her voice warm, conversational, almost apologetic. "The destruction of our nurseries. The bombardment of our hospitals. Quite thorough, really. Efficient." She nodded as if acknowledging a student's homework. "I hope it comforted you." The insectoid leaned forward, mandibles clacking. "Comfort? We are teachers, mammal. You learn pain as lesson." Sarah's smile deepened, just a fraction. "Pain is an excellent teacher," she said. "We've studied under it for centuries. We've graduated summa cum laude, you might say." The gelatinous elder burbled in confusion. "Laud. High honors," she clarified, then added with a light chuckle, "Forgive the Earth idiom. We've always enjoyed keeping score. Grades, sports, wars. Different games, really." The Valor slammed one clawed hand upon his throne. "Games? You dare call your extinction a game?" Her gaze turned to him, still polite, still smiling. "Extinction is always a game," she said softly. "The losers simply don't get to keep playing." The chamber rippled with disquiet. Some dignitaries shifted in their thrones. The insectoid made a low rattling hiss that was neither amusement nor fury, but something caught between. Sarah raised her teacup again. "We humans are a curious lot. We celebrate strange things. Baseball, for instance." A reptilian delegate blinked its lidless eyes. "Baseball." She chuckled. "A pastime. One person throws a rock with precision, another swings a stick, and an entire crowd cheers or weeps depending on where that rock lands. It makes no sense, really, but it teaches patience, timing, knowing when to wait, when to swing. It is, at heart, a predator's game dressed in innocence. She let her words settle. We like to practice. Several aliens shifted again. A whisper carried down the chamber. Why was she speaking of games when her people had been slaughtered? Why did she smile? Sarah set her teacup down with deliberate care. You've told yourselves we're sentimental, that we can't bear loss, that by striking at our children, you've broken us. You laugh at our funerals and mistake tears for weakness. I understand. On the surface, it makes sense. But allow me a gentle correction. The chamber leaned forward. Her voice did not rise. It remained quiet, conversational, yet every word carried like a blade drawn slowly from its sheath. When you touch our children, you touch the very thing that rewires our souls. You mistake grief for surrender, but grief in our species is transformative. It makes butchers of farmers, soldiers of poets, tacticians of mothers. You cut us, and we don't just bleed. We sharpen. A silence spread across the chamber. Even the smug ones hesitated. Sarah leaned slightly on the railing, as if sharing gossip with friends. You see, my dear counselors, we have two faces. You've met the first, the polite one, the smiling one, the one that shares tea and stories. It's genuine, I promise you. We love peace. We prefer laughter. We enjoy absurd little things like baseball and barbecues and sitcoms about nothing. We cherish mercy. She paused, her eyes flicking to the frozen holograms of burning playgrounds. Her smile dimmed, not vanished, but drawn tight with an edge. But when you remove mercy from us, you invite the other face. And that one you will not enjoy. The insectoid snapped, trying to reclaim authority. Threats from prey. Sarah tilted her head kindly. No. Warnings. Humans are predators who dislike admitting it. We like to pretend we're gardeners, teachers, diplomats. But our history is painted in campaigns. We crossed oceans not for curiosity alone, but to conquer. We split atoms not for knowledge alone, but for fire. We've practiced ending worlds in simulations we called wars. We made extinction into rehearsal dinner conversation. Her tone was so calm, so sweet, that only when the silence deepened did the counselors realize what she had said. And then she smiled again, lighter, as though she had gone too far into dark company and wanted to guide them back. But forgive me, I'm rambling. It's the tea. Always makes me chatty. A nervous ripple of laughter echoed, but it was thin, brittle. From the corner of the chamber, a young alien aide whispered to its superior, "Why are the humans not rioting? Why is Earth so calm? Should they not be collapsing?" Sarah's eyes flicked toward the whisperer, though she had no business hearing it from across the chamber. She held her teacup high for a final sip, then set it gently on the railing. Her hand slipped into the folio and withdrew a slim, encrypted datapad, no larger than her palm. Its screen glowed faintly as it activated. A short sequence of symbols flared across it. Earth code, indecipherable to alien eyes. She read it once, smiled faintly, and closed it. Then she looked back at the counselors with the serene warmth of a hostess, welcoming guests to dinner. Thank you for your patience. The message is received. Phase 2 begins. The chamber stirred. Phase. Sarah lifted the teacup once more, tilting it as though in toast. Do enjoy these last quiet moments. They're precious, aren't they? And she sipped, her eyes soft, her voice still gentle, as the chamber fell into a sudden, suffocating silence. The chamber did not echo with laughter this time. It quivered with silence, the kind that breathes down the neck of every creature present. Sarah Hayes had not raised her voice, had not brandished a weapon, yet the counselors shifted uneasily on their thrones. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Concord felt small inside its own fortress of authority. The Veiler delegate, claws curling against his armrest, tried to break the spell. Phase 2, he snarled, the guttural sound cracking against the crystalline dome. What arrogance is this? You stand among the keepers of galactic law. Speak plainly, primate. Sarah's smile remained, but it was thinner now, sharpened by restraint. She folded her folio shut and rested both hands on it like a schoolteacher quieting a restless class. Plain speech, then. You believe you have ended our future by slaughtering our young. But what you don't yet realize is that humanity's future is not measured only in cradles. It's measured in resolve, in memory, in patience. She tilted her head gently. And in patience, dear counselors, you will find us unnerving. The insectoid delegate clattered its forelimbs, frustration sharpening its voice. Patience is the luxury of prey. Predators strike. Your hesitation has already doomed you. Sarah glanced at it with an almost maternal softness. Predators who rush often starve. Predators who wait choose their moment. She raised her teacup again, empty now, and rotated it slowly between her fingers. We've been waiting longer than you realize. A flicker of unease rippled again. The counselors could smell it, the wrongness in her serenity, the way her words slipped like silk but bound like chains. One of the elder species, a long-necked drifter who had once ruled a quadrant through nothing but patient trade, hummed uneasily. Her calm disturbs me. It is not natural for prey to smile at its culling. And still the humans smiled. Not just Sarah. Reports streamed in across the Concord's communications hub, each one stranger than the last. Surveillance drones orbiting Earth revealed no riots, no collapse of governance, no global screaming. Instead, humans were rebuilding hospitals in silence, planting gardens among ashes, even repairing power grids with almost mechanical efficiency. The footage unsettled more than the bombings ever had. "Why aren't they grieving properly?" muttered a gelatinous elder, its body pulsing with confusion. "Where is their despair?" A younger alien aide whispered, "What if this is their despair?" The words hung like smoke. Sarah set her empty cup down. "May I offer you some history? A story, perhaps." The chamber stirred uneasily. They wanted to dismiss her, yet something in her voice compelled them to listen. "Once upon a time," she began softly, "two great powers on our world stood poised to destroy each other, both armed with enough fire to boil the oceans. And yet they lived in that tension for half a century. Every day, school children were taught where to hide if the sky burned. Every night, families slept beneath the shadow of annihilation. And yet we endured. We thrived. We invented music that shook the stars. We placed footprints on our moon, all while the end of the world ticked in the background like a metronome." She smiled faintly. "We are rather used to dancing with extinction. It makes us very, very patient partners." The counselors did not laugh this time. Sarah leaned forward slightly, her voice growing gentler. "You've mistaken us because you've seen the face of mercy more often than the other. But listen closely. Mercy is a choice, not a leash. And choices can be unmade." The Concord began to splinter. Delegates argued in hushed tones, some shouting across rows of thrones. The insectoid rattled angrily. The veiler roared. The drifter hummed warnings. But beneath the noise, unease grew like mold. Then the first external report arrived. A trembling aide scuttled into the chamber, holding a glowing slate. "Breaking transmission from Sector Theta 91. Our fleet is gone." "Gone?" demanded the veiler, rising. "What do you mean gone?" The aide's voice shook. 17 dreadnoughts, 40 escorts, attempted to encircle Earth's moon base. None returned. The last transmission spoke of shadows in the dark. "Music." "What kind of music?" asked the gelatinous elder, as though that detail mattered more than the fleet. The aide swallowed. "Children's lullabies." The silence after was heavy enough to crack glass. Sarah tilted her head, the faintest smile tugging her lips. "We do so love to sing to our young." The insectoid screeched in rage. Trickery. No human fleet could have stood against 17 dreadnoughts. Sarah regarded it with pity, as though watching a child throw a tantrum. "You've studied our planet, haven't you? Catalogued our species, our resources, our little blue marble. But you never asked the most important question. Why did we stop expanding outward when we had the chance?" Her eyes swept the chamber. "You thought we were primitive, bound by gravity. You thought we were naive dreamers who touched the moon and then retreated home. But no, we kept going, just not where you were looking." Reports flooded in one after another. Colonies on the rim, silent. Patrol ships, missing. Outposts, burned without a shot fired. Alien officers babbled about phantoms and forests. Human shapes darting between shadows. Soldiers laughing mid-battle. The descriptions sounded absurd, but the fear in their voices was real. Impossible, muttered the Veiler. They were contained. Earth was isolated. Sarah raised a brow. Contained? You placed satellites and thought we'd stop. You blockaded trade lanes and thought we'd starve. You assumed that because you saw only one face of us, the other didn't exist. She clasped her hands, still calm. We built colonies beyond your maps. We hid fleets where your sensors could not reach. We trained generations for the day you would strike. We waited. The drifter species' elder hummed louder, tones dissonant now. This cannot be. They could not hide from us for centuries. Sarah's smile was a knife's edge. Why not? You never looked where you weren't interested. While you congratulated yourselves for your cleverness, we hid in plain sight. In your markets. In your treaties. In your distractions. We've been studying you far longer than you've been mocking us. The chamber trembled with outrage. Accusations flew. Some delegates demanded immediate retaliation. Others hissed that they should negotiate. The Concord, so often united in arrogance, fractured in the span of minutes. And through it all, Sarah sipped her empty cup as though it still held tea. The gelatinous elder finally sloshed forward, voice quivering. Human, what is Phase 2? Sarah set the cup down at last. Her smile had vanished. What replaced it was not anger, but something colder, steadier, older. Phase 2, she said softly, is simple. You mistook grief for weakness. Now you will learn it was reconnaissance. The council chamber fell still again, but not with confusion this time. With dawning terror. Before anyone could speak, another aide stumbled in, pale scales trembling. Emergency broadcast from the Eridan sector. Human infiltrators have. It broke off, choking. They have erased the central AI. Our fleets are blind. Shouts erupted. The Concord chamber turned into chaos. Voices rising, limbs flailing. Translucent thrones jostling against one another. The mighty unity of the galaxy cracked like a clay pot under strain. Through the noise, Sarah's voice was calm, steady, perfectly audible. We told you once we are good at cleaning up messes. Yours included. An insectoid lunged forward, spittle spraying. What do you want, mammal? What is your demand? Sarah's eyes were kind, but the kindness was that of a physician before delivering a terminal diagnosis. We already told you. You killed our children. That cannot be undone. There are no negotiations for that. The insectoid's limbs clattered with fury. Then why speak here? Why sit with us? Because you deserve to hear it first, Sarah said simply. The Veiler delegate snarled, trying to reclaim dominance. You cannot defeat us. Our numbers stretch across 1,000 systems. Sarah turned her gaze upon him, gentle as snowfall. Then we'll start with 1,000, and see how many are left. A new report crashed into the chamber. Alien faces on the holoscreens were pale, frantic. They infiltrated our command hub. The humans knew our encryption. They knew everything. The feed cut to static. Panic broke fully now. Delegates shouted, others fled. Some wept openly. The once mighty chamber dissolved into noise. Sarah Hayes remained still, her folio resting before her, her hands folded neatly. She looked almost sad, as though she pitied them. Perhaps she did. In the center of the chaos, the gelatinous elder's voice trembled with a single question. What are they? Sarah's eyes lifted, serene and devastating. We are the species that builds lullabies into war drums. We are the species that turns funerals into fuel. We are the species that smiles when it's time to sharpen knives. You called us sentimental. You were right. That sentiment is the storm now breaking upon you. And as the chamber dissolved into chaos, she pressed her datapad once more. A single message pulsed across the galaxy, simple and unmistakable. Phase 2 confirmed. Commence hunting season. The galaxy had always imagined war as spectacle. fleets colliding in neat formations, admirals making dramatic speeches, banners fluttering across the void. But what came from humanity was not spectacle. It was something older, colder, terrifying in its intimacy. It was hunting. Reports poured into the Concord like blood dripping into water. Entire fleets gone silent. Colonies evacuated with surgical precision only hours before human ambushes. Patrols lured into asteroid belts, where shadows moved faster than scanners could track. Aliens called them ghosts, wraiths, demons in flesh. But to the humans, it was Tuesday. Ambassador Sarah Hayes remained in the Concord chamber, still the eye of the storm, her presence almost gentle against the chaos erupting around her. Delegates screamed for countermeasures, for reinforcements, for explanations. She simply listened, hands folded on her folio, as though grading the tantrum of unruly children. Finally, when the chamber reached its fever pitch, she spoke. "You misunderstand us still. You imagine us as warriors charging the field, singing banners and waving flags. That is one face, yes. But not this one. This is the other face." Her eyes, calm and unflinching, drifted across them. "We are not charging. We are dismantling." The reports supported her words. In one sector, an alien dreadnought crew swore the humans had infiltrated the ventilation shafts, though no human ships had been detected nearby. In another, a planetary shield grid powered down seconds before orbital bombardments should have struck it. Somehow, the humans had not only known its frequency, but its override codes. Entire armies found themselves blind, weapons refusing to fire, logistics collapsing in days. "What is this?" shrieked the insectoid delegate, mandibles rattling. "This is not war. This is sabotage." Sarah inclined her head. "We did learn from you, after all. War does not require charging. It requires ending." The chamber hissed and hummed in horror. Some called for immediate retaliation against Earth. Others whispered that Earth was already irrelevant, that the true human threat was spread across hidden outposts and ghost fleets. Sarah lifted her empty cup as though it were full. "You wanted spectacle, but you'll find that humans prefer subtler flavors. We are not charging you head-on. We are pulling at threads. Tug enough threads, and the tapestry falls apart." A panicked aide burst in, gasping. "The Karate Prime homeworld, they are evacuating. Entire cities abandoned overnight." "Why?" demanded the Valor delegate. The aide's voice quavered. "They received recordings. Images of their young, their nurseries. Human soldiers standing among them, smiling. Not harming, only showing they were there." The chamber froze. The meaning was clear. The humans could touch what mattered most and walk away unseen. Sarah's gaze was gentle. "You killed our children. We are reminding you how that feels." The insectoid shrieked in outrage, its limbs clattering against stone. "You are monsters." Her lips curved in something between sorrow and humor. "No, we're parents." And with that, new transmissions filled the chamber screens. The galaxy watched horrified, as human marines descended on alien fortresses, their movements efficient, unervingly calm. They did not roar as other species did in war. They joked. They hummed. One squad painted teeth on their helmets and recited baseball stats while breaching a command bunker. Another played old rock anthems as they marched through burning fields. To them, annihilation was not tragedy, it was choreography. Alien soldiers broke. Some fled mid-battle. Others froze, unable to face the smiling humans who advanced with the patience of wolves circling trapped prey. A few surrendered before the fight even began, whispering they would rather serve humans than be hunted by them. Inside the chamber, the gelatinous elder quivered with desperation. Why do they laugh? Why do they not rage? Sarah's voice was soft, chilling in its tenderness. Because rage wastes energy. Laughter builds it. The delegates stared at her, some trembling, some glaring, all disbelieving. One of the wise drifter elders leaned forward, voice trembling with reluctant admiration. They are not fighting wars as we know them. They are storytelling. They are performing fear. Sarah met the elder's gaze. Now you understand. Our greatest weapon has never been steel or fire. It has been story. We shape memory. We turn battles into myths, victories into warnings, defeats into anthems. You are not only fighting our fleets. You are fighting our narrative. And in our narrative, predators who harm children never survive the final chapter. The word struck harder than any missile. Another aide stumbled in, this one shaking so violently it could barely speak. The Orion Arm stronghold. Their AI surrendered. It claimed it preferred human caretakers. The chamber erupted again, chaos rolling like thunder. Sarah let it build before she spoke again, each word deliberate. You see, you thought you destroyed our future, but you only clarified it. You gave us purpose. Do you understand the danger of a species with nothing left to lose but its own vengeance? The Valor delegate slammed his claws down. We will unite our fleets. We will burn your hidden colonies. We will scour your kind from every star. Sarah looked at him with pity. You already tried burning. Fire against humanity only makes the metal harder. You should have known that from history. He snarled. Your history is irrelevant here. Her tone softened again, conversational. Is it? We once had a little island nation bomb our harbor, thinking we would fold. Instead, we crossed oceans and ended them with fire. Another empire thought starvation would break us, but it only taught us to ration and grow stronger. Every time we are struck, we learn. You struck our children. What do you imagine we will become from that lesson? The silence that followed was not born of ignorance. It was born of realization. Across the chamber, delegates shifted, some whispering about negotiation, others about retreat. The unity of the Concord had never been so fractured. And still, Sarah sat with her empty teacup, waiting. The insectoid delegate finally hissed. Tell us, human, what is your true aim? Annihilation. Sarah's eyes held a warmth that was worse than cold. Oh no, not yet. Annihilation is easy. What we want is comprehension. We want you to live long enough to understand precisely what you awakened. You'll beg for annihilation before it comes. The gelatinous elder's body quivered like a storm tide. You would torment entire civilizations. Sarah's smile returned, soft and small. You mistake torment for revelation. We simply believe that every predator should know what it feels like to be prey. Suddenly, a holographic feed sparked alive, overriding the chamber's controls. Alien worlds lit up, entire star systems burning as human fleets advanced. The images were grainy, chaotic, but one thing was unmistakable. Human soldiers moving with calm precision, faces painted with eerie grins, their eyes shining with purpose. Then came sound, piped into the chamber from countless battlefields. Laughter, music, and one strange, steady refrain. Children's voices singing lullabies. The chamber could not contain its horror. Dignitaries collapsed into sobs. Some screamed accusations at each other. A few fled entirely, abandoning their thrones. The mighty Concord was reduced to a madhouse. And still Sarah sat, serene. The drifter elder whispered hoarsely, You are worse than we imagined. Sarah inclined her head politely. And you imagined so little. The chamber began to clear, panic scattering its leaders. Only a few remained, trembling in their seats, too proud or too afraid to flee. Sarah rose slowly, her hands smoothing her suit jacket. She picked up her folio, tucked the empty teacup neatly inside, and looked around at the ruins of arrogance. You asked once what humanity was. You saw the smile and thought it was the whole face. Now you glimpsed the other. She let her gaze sweep over them, her voice carrying like the final toll of a funeral bell. But I promise you, this is still mercy. What comes next is not. Before any could respond, her datapad pulsed again. She lifted it, read the short message, and her smile flickered with satisfaction. She closed it softly, as though sealing a letter. Then she raised her eyes, voice calm and devastating. Phase 3 confirmed. Prepare the noose. The Concord chamber had emptied to half its strength. once proud delegates reduced to scattered remnants clinging to thrones as if furniture could shield them from inevitability. The great hall, once a chorus of arrogance, now hummed with fear, the kind that seeps into stone and lingers in air filters. Screens still flickered with live transmissions from burning sectors, each one a testament that the galaxy's predators had mistaken their prey. Sarah Hayes stood quietly among the ruin, her folio tucked neatly beneath her arm, her expression unchanged. No gloating, no fury, only composure, as though she were watching the last pieces of a game unfold exactly as planned. That calm frightened the counselors more than 100 war cries. The Valar delegate, still stubborn in his defiance though his claws trembled against the armrest, finally growled, "You cannot end us. We are legion. Our fleets blot suns. Our archives stretched longer than your species has drawn breath. You cannot erase us." Sarah met his defiance with the soft patience of a librarian answering a child's question. "You mistake erasure for our goal. We are not here to blot out your archives. We are here to rewrite them." The gelatinous elder gurgled, voice quivering. "Rewrite history," Sarah said simply. "Yours has always been written from the seat of power. You killed our children, believing no one would remember them but us. But we are very good at remembering. And soon, the galaxy will remember with us. Every corner of your empire will whisper the same story. The day you made humans stop smiling." The drifter elder, long-necked and trembling, hummed a low tone of warning. "What are you saying? You will not only destroy, you will corrupt memory." Sarah's eyes softened with something between sadness and inevitability. "We will seed it. In song, in story, in silence. Your people will fear shadows in the corner of their eyes, laughter behind closed doors, the faint sound of a lullaby carried on static. You'll wonder if we are there even when we are not, and that doubt will unmake you faster than any bomb." The insectoid delegate slammed its limbs furiously. "This is terror. This is not honorable war." Her smile was tender, pitying. "Honorable war is a myth predators tell themselves to sleep better. But we do not need your myths. We only need truth. You harmed our children. We are teaching the galaxy the cost of that truth." The chamber shuddered as another report streamed in. A fleet in the Clearing Expanse had disbanded, its officers deserting, whispering they would rather face execution at home than be hunted across the stars by laughing humans. One commander's final transmission shook even the most hardened counselors. They don't stop. They don't fear. They only watch, smiling, as if every step has already been written. We are not fighting them. We are following their script. Sarah closed her eyes briefly, a single breath escaping her as though in prayer. Then she opened them again, steady and unyielding. Phase 3 is nearly complete. The noose tightens. The drifter elder leaned forward, desperate. Why warn us? Why speak these truths here? Why not simply finish it? Sarah considered her words carefully, as though weighing the weight of centuries. Because humanity has always spoken its warnings. We write them in advance. We told each other stories about hubris long before we left our first cave. We told myths of kings who thought themselves gods, of empires that believed themselves eternal. We warned each other, and we warn you now. You think yourselves eternal. You are not. The chamber fell into a hush, so deep the hum of machinery felt deafening. And then, as if summoned by fate itself, the main screens flared again, this time not with alien reports, but with a human broadcast overriding every Concord channel simultaneously. The image was simple, terrifying in its restraint, a dark background, a single flame flickering, and then the faces of children, human children, smiling serenely. Every alien in the chamber froze. A voice, not Sarah's, but the chorus of 100 human voices layered into one spoke. You killed our children. You thought the flame would die with them. But fire is not extinguished so easily. You fed it, and now it burns you. The faces of the children dissolved into footage of alien fleets exploding silently in the void, their formations scattering like insects under torchlight. Worlds once thought untouchable burned in spirals of fire. Yet through the carnage, the sound was not roaring or triumphant. It was the steady, chilling rhythm of a lullaby sung in English. One by one, counselors collapsed into despair. The insectoid shrieked until its voice broke. The gelatinous elder wept openly, its body trembling with every sob. The Veiler clung to defiance, but his claws cut grooves into the armrest, as if he could claw reality itself apart. Sarah watched without triumph, her expression one of quiet finality. This is the final message. You thought us sentimental, and you were right. But sentiment, when sharpened, is the sharpest blade. The drifter elder near collapse whispered hoarsely, "You are not fighting for victory. You are fighting for annihilation." Her voice softened again, carrying sorrow and inevitability. Not annihilation. Correction. We do not need to destroy you all. We only need to end the illusion that you cannot be destroyed. A heavy silence followed, and then another report shattered it. This time, it was not about fleets or colonies. It was about families. Alien young, across a dozen species, had been quietly relocated, lifted from nurseries, transported into hidden shelters, fed, cared for. Not harmed, but taken. And left behind in their cribs were messages, scrawled in simple letters. "We know where your future sleeps." The chamber nearly broke. The insectoid collapsed in shuddering horror. The Veiler howled with rage. The drifter's song turned into a shrill, dissonant wail. Sarah lifted her gaze, meeting their terror with the same polite calm she had carried from the beginning. "You slaughtered what you thought were ours. But we would never gamble with our real children. What you destroyed were illusions, decoys, shadows to lure you. Did you think we would leave them undefended, unhidden, vulnerable? We placed their laughter in simulations, their faces in projections. You killed nothing but ghosts while ours grew in safety. You struck shadows, and in striking, you invited the storm." The revelation was too much. The chamber fractured, voices splintering into chaos, some shrieking denials, others collapsing in tears. Sarah placed her folio on the railing and leaned lightly upon it. Her voice dropped to a whisper that somehow reached every corner of the vast hall. And so the story ends. You will not see the next page, but you will hear it whispered in every nursery, in every fearful dream. Humanity has two faces. You've met both. One smiles, the other hunts. The main screens shifted one final time. The flickering flame vanished, replaced by a single message in bold white letters against the void. Final Earth's message. You killed our children. Now you'll meet the other side of humanity. And beneath it, a sound rose. Not screams, not music. Footsteps. The synchronized march of millions, boots against stone, echoing into infinity. The chamber's walls quivered as though the sound came from within them. The counselors clutched their thrones, their bodies shaking with a primal understanding that the footsteps were not metaphor, not broadcast, but real, closing in, step by step, across the galaxy. Sarah Hayes lifted her folio, tucked it beneath her arm, and turned toward the chamber doors. She paused only once, her voice quiet, almost tender. "When you killed what you thought were our children, you told us who you were. Now we are telling you who we are. And this story does not end with you." She walked out, each footfall steady, as the chamber collapsed into sobs, denials, and despair. Behind her, the echo of marching boots grew louder, until it seemed the entire galaxy was walking in step.